Hello, and welcome to the front yard edition of the garden tour. Um, my garden is so lush that this fish thinks that he belongs there. I just don't know why. There's a fish in a cup here, and I just thought I would highlight those. All right, so here's the thing. I am working on building mystery in this garden. So if we look at this lovely view, I know there's still an air conditioner, but it's starting to be obscured by beauty and artful design. Though I have thoughts about putting a flower pot like right here behind a hosta, like moving one of the hostas, but I'm not going to deal with that this year. But anyway, I'm already can see that it's a steed holly shrub that I just bought. It could go up to 6 to 10 feet. It's going to be friends with these guys. Um, and I know it seems strange, but we had talked about getting an evergreen of some kind and pulling it way out. And so, even though I'm happy with the line of the bed, I'm actually going to pull it out a little farther to accommodate that steed. And in fact, it's going to be an anchor underneath. Well, you can see where I'm meaning to put it. But anyway, it's going to obstruct the air conditioner from most angles. But check this out. This bed was just these sad hostas last time you would have seen this. So as you can see, I've been digging a lot, and then I just mulched it. And those hostas probably won't stay there much more than, well, maybe some will stay, but I have plans for a clematis trellis right here against the chimney. Not to leach out of the bricks, but just to grow in the shade there. So I got a hydrangea with a different color so I am planting also keeping in mind cuttings. Now, there's also, so this is an oak leaf hydrangea and it needs to be fattened up, but I just clipped it so it looks very strange, but I need it to kind of fatten up and thicken up, but I'll have to do that next year. That is a volunteer evergreen and I'm keeping it. These are two peony shrubs because I don't need them to be visually pleasing all year, but I do want a place where it's basically a peony factory. And so that's where I've put them over here. And then you can see this steed. And this steed is going to go like, it's called a steed holly. It's going to go like maybe right there or something. I don't know. Tell me your comments. But basically, I'm going to bring the bed out even farther. And then I will have to put some medium-sized things behind the peonies. Those are little forget-me-nots that I bought for the girls. And they're finished flowering, but they're sweet. This is another azalea. There's another tiny hydrangea. So these guys are all going to get huge. And so I know it looks a little bit empty-ish, but you know. This is Hosta Heaven. And of course, our shrub is just almost at the point where it needs a nice trim. Now, right before I called you, I was mowing the lawn, and then look what terrible thing happened. I ran out of gas. And so look at, my lawn is looking beautiful. Look at those stripes. I don't actually have a striping kit, but such a thing exists. And then, of course, this is why I'm fighting grubs, because in the fall I'm going to reseed all these little patches, but it looks already much better than it used to. You see these coral bells? I'm going to get different varieties to cluster in amongst them. This little U here needs work, but I was working on the side. But look at that line, I think. I know I'm going to put that holly out there, and I know it's going to look strange at first, but then it'll look awesome. But don't you think that it already makes the house look so much more beautiful? Excuse the patchy grass, but look at that. I also took off a ton of branches off my dogwood tree here, and so he's getting pretty big. But he was hanging real low, and so I popped those branches up. Look at that hedge line. Remember when the hedge came all the way to the road? That's how far we've knocked it back. So I know that the hostas don't make any sense because I was just plopping them in places, but I might have a hosta garden. But the other dream I have is to plant male and female winterberry shrubs that aren't that much to look at, but then in the winter you'd have winterberry cuttings. I know you're saying, or tea, you could get a $15 bag of winterberry cuttings from the grocery store in the winter and save yourself some trouble. Fine. I just think it would be beautiful. So obviously the coral bell situation is confusing. This azalea was brilliant this year, and look at this. The rhododendron's done. But look how happy she is. I think that it was ill because I didn't have any mulch. Now, this guy is new. Look at this. He is an Arctic dogwood, and I planted one of him, and I'm going to get 2 others to join him if he's happy here. But this is what they're going to do in the fall and the winter. So I'm also working on winter and fall beauty because that's actually when I get saddest. So I've been trying to think of beautiful things that I can have to look at because I really do look at the gardens a lot. Dwarf, I'm going to... Yes, please. The Japanese maple is so beautiful. I'm mindfully pruning it. And see this guy at the back? I know we talked about boxwoods, but apparently there's a boxwood blight around here, and boxwoods aren't happy, and I don't see them around, but the Japanese hollies, which are very similar leaf, are very happy, and I actually really love that look of them. So I planted this guy, and I know there's only one, but he is going to get to be, see that? He's going to get to be like that. So I put him behind this guy. I know that there's not really much uniformity, and it's sort of all instinctive plantings and nothing matches. But next year, I'm going to probably get a bunch of 3s of things. Like, it's probably going to be a lot of sedums that unite things because I love how they look. Maybe some barberry triples and coral bells. And I'm going to bring them in so that it looks like the same person lives in the house attached to all of these gardens. But also Japanese holly is one of my uniting factors. These sedums are new. This azalea was brilliant again. That guy, I cut him down to that size last year. And look at him. It's outrageous. I just fertilized him. And then this is a beautiful barberry that'll get big and beautiful, and then I'll move all my rocks. And then I bought 2 planters because I just thought that would look pretty. But I brought them out here instead of by the steps because I see them so clearly when I drive in. So obviously this has not been mulched, so imagine how good it's going to look when it is dark. And then this is sort of an intensity indicator. This is Finbar bringing me a drink. I think it's a cocktail. Thank you. Best day ever. Erica, he still thinks that I'm on the phone with you, but I'm just taking a video for you. But you're not even on this video, so that's pretty funny, right? Okay. This is major grub damage that I've chosen to deal with in 2 ways. Number 1, I have some seedings going on here. So I had to be very strategic in where I put down my pre-emergent because, of course, if you follow the Lawn Care Nut Facebook group, you'll know that pre-emergent prevents crabgrass seeds from sprouting, but you have to avoid where you want to seed grass. So usually you put down pre-emergents in the spring and you put down seeds in the fall. But the other thing I did is, you know how I made a garden bed? It looks a bit like a Frankenstein lawn because I aggressively shaved the sod. Do you know how heavy sod is when it's wet and you don't have a sod machine like farmers of sod do? I shaved, rolled, and spread this much sod from the bed that I just created this year. So I will add in more topsoil and seeds in the fall, and it will go in with the yard so I didn't have to seed everything. I know that's really intense, but that's what I did. There's the dog again. And that's that. Is that magnificent? I'm really proud of it. And there's a topsoil bag, of course. The girls have been decorating my shrubs with rhododendron flower petals. That's that. The end. This is the best. I hope it makes sense to you. But if you're... Oh! I've missed a spot. I'll go get the lawnmower now. Okay. I love you. Thank you if you made it this far. Thank you for paying attention to my garden. Not enough people around here care about it in the amount of detail that I'd like to tell them about. So, anyway. But I'm really proud of this lush view. I know there's an air conditioner. Maybe I'll get a trellis, but like, that's nice. All right. Thank you, Bear. I love you. Bye.